What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of From Screen to Shelf. We got the three amigos here. Everyone's on. We're all talking about something cool today. We decided to talk about. Uh, I just fucked it up, guys. We got to run with it again. I've never fucked it up before.
That's great.
I just literally forgot what
No,
we were
that's
talking about.
no, just go with it, dude. That was awesome.
No, not going
I'm
with it.
gonna
We're
use that
restarting.
anyway because it's so
No,
funny.
Put
That's
it in
awesome.
as the blooper.
restarting. 3, 2, 1. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of From Screen to Shelf. This is Gabe. I'm here with my boys Will and Chase, and
What
today
is
we're
up?
going to be talking about material that we wish was adapted better or got an adaptation to begin with. So we're going to go through video games, books, mangas, comics, just a whole bunch of different material that we wish would get an adaptation or would get a better adaptation, because we know there's a lot of different content out there that's already been adapted and it just didn't go well. So and we have everyone here today. Chase is back.
Yeah. What is
He's
up?
back. He was wandering Middle Earth for like a good month and a half,
Yep. Wandering
exploring.
around.
Yeah, just
I'm
hanging
glad to be
out.
back.
And Will's still here. He's still a mega broke bastard because I just get the vibe that he bought more stuff since the last video we did.
Broke as hell. Yeah.
Broke
No,
as hell,
I'm
dude.
doing all right.
Did you buy more stuff though? Didn't you say you did buy like more movies?
Let's not. Yeah. No. Yeah,
You had
no,
a
I
fat
got
stack last time.
no, I'm still waiting on stuff to pile in, you know? I'm
Oh,
still
okay.
waiting on
You're still
Vinegar
waiting on the mail.
Syndrome. Yeah, I'm still waiting on that. I got some Scream Factory stuff in, which is always cool. But no, other than that, it's just Severin and Vinegar Syndrome
Yeah,
Sweet.
same.
for now.
Waiting on
Yeah.
my antiviral.
Your
Mm.
antiviral?
Yeah, it's Brandon Cronenberg's first movie, and it's actually really good, man.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
become a
Weren't you
I always
texting
forget
about
his
that?
name. Dude, yeah, because the lead actor in that, he was in 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and then he was in a movie this year. But any
Mm.
movie this dude's ever in, I cannot ever remember his name, but he's just so fucking good, man. Check out Antiviral. It's really, really cool. It's definitely like on the lower end. I probably like it and Possessor just as much as each other. But yeah, that was like such a cool surprise. I mean, it wasn't really a surprise because Severin announced way earlier this year that as a title at some point
Oh,
because
okay.
they did a partnership with IFC and IFC was
Yeah.
the distributor for that film. So they announced that movie, I think it was like back in March or April of this year. But it was just a
Oh.
matter of when it was going to drop and they made it one of their honestly, it was really the only Black Friday title I was excited for, to be honest with you. Everything else was just kind of not necessarily their
Yeah.
best.
I think Will and I were talking about that too, that we weren't like impressed with the whole Black Friday deals this year. It just wasn't,
Mhm.
it's kind of lackluster, but yeah. I mean, better for our wallets though, except
Yes.
Will's wallet.
Not me.
Not you, man, because
Yeah.
you'll buy
No, I mean
everything. No.
there were some good deals though, I'm not gonna lie. Like
Some.
that I think that Insidious Steelbook was probably one of the best ones. I know we keep mentioning that one, but that's the one
Mhm.
that stood out to
It's
me,
like
you know.
$13 or something, 14
Damn.
bucks.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
13.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
for
was
the
pretty
first
good.
one. I already
Yeah.
have it, but I mean, I don't have the steelbook, but I already have the movie. But if I didn't have it, I would definitely cop for 14 bucks.
Mm.
But going back to the topic, Chase, since you've been
Yes.
wandering Middle Earth and you just got back, what's the first one you were thinking of? Because you said you had one that was kind of like a lengthy discussion, or one that you were really passionate about.
Yeah, I mean, it's really just the one that we were talking about that kind of led to this idea. So, way back whenever we did I think it was our video games episode, probably about a year ago now. I had brought up and I brought back a bunch of memories for somebody, and that reminded me of the Sly Cooper movie. I think I mentioned it sometime when I was talking
Mm,
about Sonic. But yeah, for like a quick like history lesson or a blast from the past, if you don't remember, I don't remember the exact studio that was supposed to do it. I know it was something affiliated with like they were a much smaller studio that was trying to get their name up there, and I know it was like younger talent. But Sony had licensed out 3 of their IPs to this like little small studio. The first movie that was released and announced was Heavenly Sword. That one came out. It's basically just the entire game's cutscenes, and which is cool
mhm.
because that game's freaking gorgeous if you've never played it.
Yeah.
So I mean that's cool. Oh, I think it has some added action and everything like that, but it's mostly just the cutscenes. But
Mm.
they announced Sly Cooper, and for some reason, whenever I think of things that I want adapted, like honestly, I never really wanted Sonic adapted into live action because it just in my head just didn't really compute, and it kind of
Yeah.
turned out well, right? I usually kind of think about certain things I'd want in like a Super Mario Bros. Style format, just a
Mm,
CGI movie like that, you know? I'm perfectly okay with that. And Sly Cooper is one of those ones I always think about that I think is like perfect for like a good family friendly, easygoing, nice little popcorn flick that would do moderately well at the box office. I think this would tick a lot of those boxes. I think the time's passed too much. I think
yeah.
Ratchet and Clank had its movie and it didn't necessarily do well, but I would say that in the right hands and kind of done a little bit better than the movie, that would be side by side. But they did drop a trailer for the Sly
Hmm.
Cooper movie, and it was dropped in 2014. The movie never came out though, but the trailer looks really cool. Like it's actually really, 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 really solid.
It's well
Um,
done.
yeah,
I
it's well
forgot
put
about it, dude,
together.
until you made me like, or you talked about it, and I searched it up, and I was like, I've seen this before, and I
Yeah.
remember being intrigued that they were actually trying to pull it off, and I completely forgot that they never did.
Yeah, they never dropped it, which is crazy to I know sometimes like there's some indie movies that'll like film a trailer and then put it out there. So maybe they made it just
Mhm.
for that, but I mean it looked like they got pretty far. That trailer is really well made. But I just think that that one would be really really perfect for it. Another one that I think that would like kind of tick this box really really well that hasn't been adapted is Little Big Planet. Like just kind of
Little
keep it in
Big
line with the
Planet.
Sony
Holy crap!
exclusives.
Yeah.
I think that would like a 4K disc of that, a Dolby Cinema experience of that would just look fucking crazy, if done
Oh
right. Because
man.
games already look so good because it's all patchwork,
Yeah.
so you've got a nice little world. And I don't really think brand familiarity would necessarily matter for that because Sackboy, Sackgirl, all of the characters in there are just
Mhm.
instantly likable and will melt your heart pretty much right away. I think they could actually have something on their hands if they got an animation crew, kind of like what Sony did with the Spider Verse movies. If they
Yeah.
got some like people that poured a lot of love and art into the art style of the movie, I think you have a home run with that one. But I think those are two simultaneous because they would kind of fit into the same little animation category. Would be the two that I'd really really want because Sly Cooper's just it's like my favorite platformer from that era, and
That was a fun game.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Little Big Planet was just stupid fun whenever it dropped, and especially Little Big Planet 2 was great.
Did
But
they
yeah, those would
do
be
a
the two.
did they do a and I might be tripping out, dude, I don't remember. Did they do a Spyro the Dragon, movie?
No.
I'm tripping the hell out. Okay, because 'Cause
They
I'm thinking of, like, PlayStation games, and I remember playing Spyro as a kid, and that one was pretty
yeah.
popular, and I felt like that
Yeah.
one might have been a good opportunity as well.
Yeah, and I think where you might be thinking it did get one is because remember he was the face of Skylanders for the longest time, and that thing got its, like,
Oh, yeah.
entire own TV show and everything like
Mhm.
that, and it was absolutely everywhere for, like, 4 or 5 years. So that's maybe why. Because I remember I'm pretty sure it was a Netflix exclusive. I never watched it, but I remember it being advertised heavy. The
Yeah,
Skylanders
and it had
Academy or whatever it was.
yeah, that's what it was, I think, 'cause I just remember seeing something Spyro, but I think it just
Yeah.
depends on the studio that you give it to as well. Cause like, what's that studio that did, the Super Mario's movie, the past year or so?
Illumination?
Illumination, because they
Yeah.
honestly killed the animation with that movie. The
Yeah.
movie itself, it and maybe I'm just judging it too hard. It's a really good movie for the material they're working with because there's like barely any material with Super
Yeah,
Mario. Like
exactly.
there's not much you can do with it. But I mean, I think they did a pretty solid job. So if like a studio like that got Little Big Planet or Sly Cooper, I think that they could actually make it work. But
Yeah.
I think Sly Cooper, it's a little too late for that one.
I agree. I think, like,
Yeah.
literally when they dropped that trailer, because you were fresh off of, I believe it was Thieves in Time, because they
Hmm.
had just dropped the new one towards the end of the PS3 life cycle, if you remember that. It was the 4th one,
Yeah.
and then that movie got announced, so that would have been the appropriate time. I think the only one that you could really make work would be Sackboy. I mean, maybe Astrobot because you have this huge wave and it
Astrobot.
won Game of the
Yeah.
Year, despite how you feel about it, but, I mean, I think that's too new as well, but, I mean, they can make a short little TV show of it, but I just think there's a lot of potential when it comes to animation, especially depending
Mhm.
on when you're looking at like I know there was like Double Dragon. I think there was a Battletoad show way back when. I know there was a Zelda and Mario one, but that's what I kind of still miss. Like all these animated shows like Sonic, Mario, and Zelda we're getting, still wish a lot of that was still happening because
Well, they're
there's
doing
a lot of way to do it.
from what I
Which
heard,
one?
they're doing a Legend of Zelda movie.
Yeah, they're doing the live. It's by the same guy that did the new Apes movie.
Oh, it's a live action movie?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware.
No shit.
Mhm.
That's kind of disturbing
It's
and
gonna be
weird.
crazy.
Like, you got a protagonist that barely talk, or I mean, he doesn't talk. He doesn't say anything ever.
Yeah,
So
maybe
it's
that's
like,
how
how
they'll lean into it.
I don't know, man. That's just kind of weird. I thought it was animated this whole time.
No, it's live
Wow.
action. Just like
Okay.
the maybe it'll be. Have you either of you guys watched the Minecraft movie trailer? It looks pretty bad.
Oh my
Oh no.
god. Did you
It
see it,
looks really
Will?
bad.
No, I haven't seen it, but
Oh,
my
we
my
should have
my
just done a whole
girl's really
reaction
big into
video.
Minecraft, and she just went on a whole rant about it this morning, actually. It's funny you brought that up.
Oh my god,
Yeah, like
dude.
I love
I gotta
Jack
check it
Black.
out.
It just that feels like again yet another animation. You know what I mean? I get you want to make money, get all the live action folks in there, but
Yeah.
even though animation doesn't bring in as much, it's still proven that animation can bring in a good amount of money as well, especially if you do it with the right budget. Instead of, dude, how much money do you bet they've
I
sunk
don't
into Minecraft, man?
Probably a
the
100 mil.
lot.
movie?
I just
Yeah,
dude,
I
it's
would
like
say like
9 times out of 10, the end result is better with animation
175
anyway
million.
with
yeah.
that.
No, I
175
agree.
million for Minecraft movies, what I'd put down.
Oh,
Is
there
there a
is no
budget
budget.
available?
Oh,
Like,
there's
I
do
no
we
don't
budget
know?
see it.
available for it? Dude, you said Jack Black. I thought you were gonna mention fucking Jason Momoa because he
He looks so awkward. Oh my
looks
god! Wait, how
crazy.
much did you say?
I said 175.
Yeah, that's its total targeted based on what I just
Oh
found on here. I
shit.
don't could be total
Wow.
BS,
That's
but that's
fucking
wild.
crazy. That's not even gonna make. I mean, I could see it making like 120 maybe or
Yeah,
100, maybe 100 million opening weekend because of families and kids and stuff. It's a safe movie to go watch, but I don't see them breaking, three times
500
that.
mil.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not gonna happen, especially when Jason
crazy.
Momoa was running around in a. It was he like in a skirt or something like that? I forgot what it was. It,
Yeah, it's something like that.
yeah, we were like just looking at each other in the theater when we saw that trailer. It was bonkers, man. That's a crazy one. But those are good picks. Sly Cooper and Little Big Planet. I forgot about Little Big Planet. I think
It would
those are
be
really
really cool.
solid.
There's
I'm
so much potential you could do in that, and especially it's like it's kind of like the original Astrobot, where like you put the clothing on, make him look like Kratos and stuff. So yeah,
Kratos. I wanted to say God of War since we're like on the PlayStation trajectory
yeah.
right now. I think they're doing something God of War. I could be wrong from what I've heard, right? I think they're
I
doing
think
like
it's
a show
prime
or
for it.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're doing some show. I
Oh,
I
you're
love
talking about
God of
Secret
War.
Level.
Secret Level. What do you mean?
There's this, I believe it's Amazon is doing a series where it's like these high quality animated episodes, and it's supposed to be like 7, 8 episodes. One of them is like the only one I remember is damn it. I can't remember Concord, I think is what it is. That big Sony
Mm,
exclusive that just flopped.
yeah.
It has its own episode. Like there's a few PlayStation people in there, and I believe God of War is supposed to be in this Amazon series, Secret Level.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
See, oh, I'm reading the article. I think it's getting its own series.
Is it? Oh, is it really?
Yeah, I think it's getting its own like actual series, live action
Is it
show.
even in Secret Level?
That I didn't look at. It just says it's a God of War series. Um,
Yeah, he is.
Amazon, yeah, it's on from Amazon, and that should be interesting. Amazon's kind of weird
I
because
think
it's like those.
They're partnering with Sony, it says, from what I'm
Yeah,
reading.
Sony's they own God of War property, but Amazon's kind of weird, dude. They sink
Yeah.
so much money into bullshit like that Rings of Power. I haven't seen the second
Mm.
season, but I mean, how much money that was, dude. It's wild. It's insane. So it's interesting to see what they're going to do with God of War. But that's always one that I've really wanted to see in terms of live action because I think the story itself just lends itself to.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, it's a tragic story, but then you have a protagonist who's like they're not perfectly good, they're not bad. They're just kind of like this kind of gray area where I mean you root for him, but he's also a piece of shit.
Yeah. He's just
So
prime mayhem for Hollywood, I feel like. Like,
yeah.
especially if you play God of War 3, like, even if they just
Oh,
adapted
dude.
that, that'd be fucking
I love.
crazy.
I mean, I honestly love the. Have you played the new ones, the
I've played
revamped
the
ones?
first new one. I haven't played
Oh, they're
Ragnarok,
both
but
so
God of War
good,
3
dude.
is one of my favorite games of all time.
God of War 3 is great. I would honestly say the one after that kind of took
Really?
the trophy. Yeah, dude, I
I don't
love the
know,
new
man.
one. They're
It's
both great
good.
though. They're both
Yeah.
great. They're both fantastic. But that's I mean, I just wanted to mention God of War since we're on the trajectory of Sony. And I think I mean, this one's getting one too. Ghost of Tsushima. I don't know if you guys played Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Amazing game.
Amazing game, dude. Beautiful game. Like the cinematics are fucking gorgeous, and it's I think it's the dude that made the John Wick movies. He's either showrunner or producing it.
Interesting.
So yeah, I think he said they actually looked at some of the footage from Ghost of Tsushima and tried to incorporate it into John Wick 4 in some way. But yeah, that one should be pretty badass if it's handled correctly. The one I was gonna mention, um, we're getting off of the Sony track, going to the Microsoft track now, is
Mhm.
Halo. Because Halo,
Yeah. Yeah.
Halo
Neil
got a
I
Blomkamp
know
was
where you're
supposed to
going
for
with
the
this.
longest time. Master
what's that?
Cheeks. No, I was
Master.
just saying I was just saying that like Neil Blomkamp, that whole District 9 movie. I love District 9. It's one of my favorite
Oh
sci-fi
yeah,
movies
dude.
ever. That
Yeah,
was
Yeah.
supposed to
great
be
movie.
Halo. And
Fantastic.
apparently you can see
Yeah.
props in it. I don't recall that, but apparently
Really? I
it's
thought
good
it
enough.
was. I thought he was like summoned
He
by the
directed.
studios to do Halo after that movie.
I thought it was Deering because he did the Halo 3 commercials and
Hmm.
ODST if I remember
Oh
right.
shit, really?
If I remember right. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he at least did one Halo 3 in an ODST commercial. Remember like those live action Halo
Yeah, those are
commercials?
fucking amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They're
Exactly. They were like,
incredible.
yeah, like you would want to watch commercials in the hopes that you got to watch a repeat of that commercial back in the day.
Dude. Okay, see, I didn't know that. I thought it was afterwards. But yeah, I mean the reason, and you guys already know because you guys started laughing, but I mean I saw the entire first season. I tried to give it a chance. Like I wanted to turn it off halfway through, but it pissed me off just because of how it's a beautiful looking show.
Mm,
Like the action scenes, like there was I think an action scene at the very end. I think it was the episode finale where it's just Master Chief like fighting the entire Covenant, like wave after wave, and it's just it looks amazing, and the music's great, and the actual aesthetics of the show look phenomenal. But the story is just like it's like I don't even know what happened. Like I don't even. It's like where
yeah.
did they even? I don't know where they came up with any of this shit. I tried looking into like Halo lore stuff, and I mean, there's bits and pieces, but it's like they just went with something like of their own accord. I don't know. I mean, and you just brought up Master Cheeks. I'd never heard of that expression before. It's the first time I heard it, but
Oh wait, really?
yeah. I mean, as soon as that scene came up, I was done. I was like, this is like so
That's
disappointing.
what sealed the deal for him.
It sealed the deal, dude. Even when that steelbook came up, I think it was like what was it like 14.99 or something for the
They're
Halo?
pretty
Wait, was it
cheap,
really?
dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
dude,
was.
it got dirt cheap, like dirt
I
cheap.
didn't
I was
even
like,
know that. I would have bought it for that much. I'm
I
not
wouldn't,
gonna lie.
I
I'm
wouldn't
a
buy.
sucker for
Why
a
do you
deal.
buy such shitty stuff?
Dude, I don't know. It's like I
And then
don't know. Would you own a
somewhere
copy of
behind
ET?
Chase right now, Exorcist believers there.
Yeah, it's just it goes everywhere with me. Every time I go to a different room, it follows me. No,
Dude,
it's
I
like
couldn't.
I don't know, dude. It's just like the curiosity of it. I don't know. It's like people will shit on this stuff and they like mass produced it, and then you're gonna find them in a landfill 20 years later, like that Atari ET game, and then I'm gonna be like, well, I've had it since day one, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't know, bro. I just have this fascination with owning
Or it's
bullshit,
just
I
gonna be
guess.
like worth like $1,000 someday.
Yeah.
It's an investment.
I would totally get that if it was super cheap. I
Dude,
haven't
yeah,
seen
it
a
was like
single
that for.
episode of it.
Oh, really? You haven't?
No,
But you've heard of the
no.
Master Cheeks?
Yeah, I did, dude. It takes a lot for me to get into a show. Like I
Yeah.
still haven't even seen The Last of Us. I plan on eventually
Oh,
watching it.
I hate you. I hate you so much right now.
Yeah, it's like I just TV shows are hard for me to invest in. They really, really are.
Yeah. No, I'm the same way. I can't like because it's just it's such a huge time commitment. I mean, we already have trouble. I'm starting to get a stack like you, man. I have a huge stack of movies that I could barely get to, let alone an
Hmm.
entire show. So, yeah. I mean, when you have Master Chief, I mean, they take off the man's helmet, which is like a sin in and of itself, and then yeah, he's having sex and it's zooming in on his butt cheeks. And it's like what do you expect the gaming crowd to say? I mean, we're already immature as it is. Like we're not going to be able to cope with that. And it was a trash series. I gave it a chance. I watched the entire first season, and I think if I want to, you guys can correct me. I think it's canceled now. I think they
Yeah,
actually canceled it. Yeah.
after season 2. Yeah.
There's
So
only 2 seasons, yeah.
I think that says everything that needs to be said. I think that honestly, wasn't Peter Jackson in talks of doing it too, or something like that, or he was like,
Possibly.
I could be wrong, but I mean, I honestly think if you had and I'd like to actually see it as a film, if you actually had a solid director like Peter Jackson, or trying to think who else. Who would I trust with Halo? I'm not sure right now off the top of my head, but if you had a solid director that, in a studio that was willing to kind of, cave into the massive budget that would probably cost, I think that it would be worth it. I think you'd have enough people to go see it.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
think Gareth Edwards might be a decent choice.
Oh,
I think he's
Yeah,
pretty
I
oh,
well
dude,
agree.
versed
everyone
in
would
that realm.
freak the hell out of that.
Yeah,
That'd
Yeah.
be phenomenal. That'd be great.
yeah.
But yeah, that's one that needs to be redone, dude. And it sucks because I remember seeing the teaser for it and I was so excited because the aesthetics of the show looked great. I'm like, they got this nailed down, but then the story's just it's
Just
shit.
trash.
It's complete trash, man. Complete trash. I have another one though. I'm gonna go with Will. Another
So
one
Will's
popped up when we're
got.
talking. Yeah. What do you got, Will?
I got a few, but I guess I'll do a game first because have you guys played Dino Crisis at any
Yeah.
point in time?
Dino Crisis, man. That's
Mhm.
oh my god,
Yeah,
it's been a while.
It's a blow.
yeah. I mean,
That's a way
Mhm.
back.
way back in the day, like I think the first one was probably like 98 or 99. You know,
Mhm.
Mhm.
I didn't play it till probably the early 2000s because I was like, I mean, I
It
was
was original PlayStation, I think, right?
Mhm.
PlayStation. Yeah, PlayStation. I don't remember how many games are in the series. I think they had at least 2 or 3, maybe more than that. I think at least 3. But, being a fan of Resident Evil, I always thought Dino Crisis was a cool concept. And from what I remember, and again, I'm going off of memory here, but the game was different than the early Resident Evil games because it was a little more fast paced, I would say. There were still
Mhm.
puzzles and stuff in it, but it was
Mhm.
Resident Evil was more like slow, not slow burn horror, but you would still
Yeah, you took your time with
feel
it.
almost like. Whereas, yeah, I guess Resident Evil was like survival horror, whereas this
Mhm.
felt more like you just go into panic mode. When you encounter the dinosaurs, just because they're faster,
Yeah.
and that was the thing. And I'm pretty sure it was the same guy who made Resident Evil made Dino Crisis. That was like his big thing, in the 90s. It was Resident Evil, and then I think Dino Crisis was probably trying to
See,
think
I
when the
didn't
first
know
Resident
that.
Evil game came out. I think it was 96 or something like that. So yeah, this is probably like 3 or 4 years later, or 2 or 3 years later.
Interesting.
So, but I don't know. I think it would work relatively well as a movie if you get the right person behind it. I mean, then again, it's we're talking
Just
like
Mila
dinosaurs
Jovovich
here
again?
that are no, maybe not. Maybe not that. But no, I think Resident Evil needs to be remade too, and it
I
might
agree.
very
That's
well be.
true.
I'm not entirely sure. I think there's talk of that happening, but to get back to Dino Crisis, I mean, the other thing that made me think about that was that we don't really have like a good like dinosaur horror film
Yeah.
that I can think of,
Mm,
other than
that's
like
true.
I'm thinking of like B movies. The only thing that comes to mind is like
Tammy and the
what is it? Those
T-Rex.
well that is a dinosaur comedy gold right there. That's what that is. That's peak. But no, the only thing I can think of is like those Roger Corman movies. They're called like the Carnosaur series, which
I don't
is
think I've seen
I
that.
mean, I've seen like 1 or 2 of them and they're not good by any means, but I don't know, man. We really haven't had like other than like Jurassic Park, there haven't been a lot of successful dinosaur films other than that series. I mean, and especially like to have like a dinosaur horror film, I think that'd be pretty cool, if it could be done right and be relatively successful,
Well, you had that
you
one
know.
with what was the one that
Adam
came out with
Driver,
Adam? Yeah,
65.
the trailer looked
Yeah.
promising, but then it just turned out to not be
Well,
promising.
that
It
was a
so
horror film because of just how bad it was, the end result, but yeah. Yeah, well,
yeah,
something like that, except with more of a horror slash,
just yeah, for
survival
sure.
element, I think that would work really well, but
I
again, I mean, you gotta get the right person behind it and the right team, and I'm trying to think who would even be willing to take that on, you know what I mean? But,
Spielberg.
yeah.
Get
Oh
Spielberg
god,
and Mila
imagine.
Jovovich on there.
Yeah, Spielberg and fucking
Yeah.
Mia Jovovich, yeah, but no,
Um,
yeah,
I did.
Dino Crisis was my first pick.
It's hard with dinosaurs because I don't know if this makes it sound so old, but I remember like you guys
Mm.
remember Turok?
Hey,
Hell
Turok
yeah,
games.
dude.
actually, thanks for bringing that up because that was
So
my second pick was
Oh, was
Turok.
it?
Well, you know what
Yeah.
Oh
was funny,
shit.
Chase? I was gonna do Turok, but I was like,
Yeah.
Turok was great, dude. I
Oh, I
love
love
those
Turok,
games.
dude. Yeah,
But yeah,
they're
Dino
fantastic.
Crisis. I had to lean into the horror element because I was thinking of whether or not to do Turok or Dino Crisis. But Dino
Well,
Crisis
now
to
we get
me,
to
I
do
just
Turok
remember being a
because
kid and like
Chase.
loving that game though.
Dino
Yeah.
Crisis
Yeah.
was good, but did you hear, by the way, before we get into Turok, that they made a new Turok game?
Yeah, I watched the Game Awards. Yeah, looks really
Yeah,
cool.
it looks.
It's
I
just
don't know. It
prime
looks
for
weird.
like all you really got to do is like essentially like what Predator is,
Hmm.
Yeah.
but in an older time with a lot of dinosaurs instead of just one
Yeah,
predator. Like that's all you got
Yeah.
to do, dude. Like
it's not that
it's
hard.
really not that hard. Like yeah, and on 65 I went and saw that and yeah, it was just I wouldn't say it was like atrocious. It's just like you that's what you gave me. It's just kind
Hmm.
of what I felt walking away from that movie. It's just it's a lot of
Yeah.
potential just for its premise alone. Like you hear dinosaurs and you don't get a lot of like fresh takes on that kind of
Hmm.
creature feature, anymore, especially because of the budget, what you have to put into it. That's not cheap to do. But yeah, a Turok movie would go insane. Like
I'd
it
go
really
crazy
would.
for it as long as it
Yeah.
was. I mean, I guess you don't even need to cast it well. You could technically just cast some unknown in the role. I mean, I don't even
Yeah.
remember. You don't really get too much into Turok's like backstory. It's just like killing dinosaurs. Well, I
I
mean,
just remember the
Yeah.
last game was the one for the Xbox 360. I think that's the one that I'm thinking of, the last one that I played. That was
Yeah.
in for the time, that was like a remake. I love that game. I used to
Yeah.
play that all
2
the
was my
time.
favorite. I used to play 2, like, all the time, but I just don't think dinosaurs are, like I guess that's why I was bringing up that maybe we're just old because like, back in the day, dinosaurs were, like, the shit. Like, it was,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Jurassic
Yeah.
Park and Turok and Dino Crisis, and it was, like there were so many arcade games. I remember going to the arcade too, and there's just so many arcade games with, like, dinosaurs, and
Yeah.
now, I mean, I think it's just something you don't see in movies and games and comics, like, and maybe it's like what Chase said, that's just the budget. Obviously you're investing a lot into being in that world, but I think that there's a lot of cool
Yeah.
stuff like what she said, well, horror kind of oriented dinosaur flick. I think that'd be kind of dope.
Yeah.
Well,
It
that's
would
what I
be.
think you gotta do in order to market it better, you just gotta lean into something a little different, and that's why I kind of went with that because I think it's just kind of, as far as film is concerned, it's slightly new territory for something like that,
Hmm.
and, I mean, I think we can all agree, Jurassic Park, they've kinda had, like, a monopoly on, dinosaur movies, just with
Yeah.
Yeah.
because of how big those movies are, they get everybody's attention, but, even within that community of, fans of that franchise, the last, couple films haven't necessarily been, too well received. Not that they've been absolute flops, but
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I'm gonna go see another dinosaur movie like that, I would just want something different. But I don't know. I think it's all on how you market it too. I mean, I feel like if they get the right team and the right director, they could do something pretty cool with that. But then again, like you got to think about how many people are familiar with the IP. Like Resident Evil
Yeah.
is a much bigger sell, and it's a series that's still going strong as opposed to Dino Crisis. I mean, it has its fans out there that are waiting for something to come back, but I mean,
Paul Anderson will probably
not
do it here in the
exactly.
next 2 years.
Oh God, stop, dude!
I mean, because what's the other one he just did?
Monster
Monster
Hunter.
Hunter. Yeah.
Monster
Yeah.
Hunter, yeah. Also
Ti is
with
in
the
fucking
Legend of it.
Monster Hunter, bro. Like, that was like the weirdest cat. It was Ti was in that movie, right? The
I don't
rapper
know.
Ti.
I never
Was
Maybe I'm
saw
he?
it.
tripping
I
out.
didn't see
Yeah, I
Monster
think
Hunter.
Ti was. I remember seeing the trailer. I'm like, why is Ti in Monster Hunter, bro? Like, what
I
is
didn't
going
catch that.
on?
Seriously?
Hold on, I'm
I
gonna
actually
double check
kind of
myself.
erased
Someone's gonna
that from my
correct me.
memory.
Monster Hunter. I'm pretty
Monster
sure.
Hunter.
Yeah, he is. Ti's in
Yes, yeah.
it.
Oh my
It was
God.
just. I mean, I love Ti. I love his music, but it's just like I don't think of Ti. When I'm thinking of
You think
Monster Hunter and
quality?
Capcom. Yeah.
I didn't even
Um,
realize he was in Ant-Man 1 and 2 either.
was he? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, when he was one of the thieves, I think.
Oh, was
Like
he?
yeah, I think so. I think I could be wrong. I don't remember.
That's crazy.
That's nuts, man. But I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I know we kind of monopolized the Turok conversation. Chase, did you have something else about Turok that you were
No,
gonna mention?
that's why I went ahead and threw it in there I didn't want to recycle the same conversation about dinosaurs. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up my second pick. But Turok, yeah, that'd be great. Big fan of those games.
That's a
Really
good
fun.
one. Have you guys ever, I guess for a second pick, since we're still doing games, BioShock? Have you guys ever played BioShock?
Absolutely.
Oh hell yeah.
Fucking amazing games,
Yeah.
dude. Especially
Yeah.
my favorite ones were 1 and Infinite.
I
The
love
one where like
2.
Two's cool too. I love
Yeah.
two, but just something about I would even say maybe to Infinite's my favorite, just because it has a lot of
Interesting.
like the time kind of quantum quirky. Maybe it's the Nolan elements. I don't know. Maybe I just want Christopher Nolan to do a Bioshock movie. um,
That would
but
be
I
go
think
crazy
that
on that.
I remember that property, Gore Verbinski. I think he was handed that property, and he was actually going to do something with it.
That would go
Hmm.
crazy in his hands,
But
dude.
he was, I think he was just busy with the oh my god, the Pirates of the Caribbean movies at the time. So I think that it just kind of fell through. He was in talks for a long time to do those movies, and it just never happened. But I think honestly, he'd actually do a solid job with those.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Um,
I thought we were getting one. I thought I remembered hearing that like Netflix or one of the streaming services
oh,
was
for real?
putting money into one. Yeah,
They
I
are.
could be
Yeah.
wrong. Let me try to look
What?
it up. But
Don't get me
Yep.
excited, Will.
You just got an update in July. BioShock movie still in the works, but with a reduced budget as of per Variety, July 25th of this year.
oh,
Hmm.
so
So it's a
not too long
movie.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit! And who's does it say what studio's doing it?
Producer Roy Lee is the only name attached that I've been reading so far.
Francis
Wow.
Lawrence. He directed the I Am Legend adaptation with Will Smith back in the
Oh,
2000s. Yeah.
He's attached to it.
interesting.
It
He's the
says
director. Or...
I guess it was an ongoing live action BioShock movie at Netflix since 2022 with Francis Lawrence directing and Michael Green on screenwriting duties. I don't know if they're still attached, but that's what it says in the I'm looking at Screen Rant.
Yeah, I'm seeing that it's like still in
And then it's talking about how
development.
they cut the budget. Yeah.
It's like we'll do it, but we got to cut the budget. No, that's a good idea. I
Mm.
mean, it's hard. I just don't know what they're doing with it. I'm wondering if it's like a straight. To me, if it needs if they want it to be a successful movie, I don't want it to be like this is the BioShock universe, but it's our own story. I feel like you really need to. What made that game so strong was the story itself, and I think that they
Mm.
probably need to lean into the actual story of the game. But that's just me because I really love the
Mm.
twist at the end of the first one, and the second. I mean, all of them have great twists. All of them have great stories. If they just set it in that universe and make their own story, I can see things going wrong. But that's just my opinion with it.
Yeah.
It just depends. But yeah, holy shit,
Great
dude!
pick.
I had no idea they were actually
Visually,
doing
with
it.
a good practical set, like honestly, if Stuart Gordon was still making movies, I think that would. Oh my god, like
Be
somebody like
dope.
him, you know.
Yeah.
John Carpenter in his prime. I've been wanting him to make a. Apparently, he had interest in a Dead Space movie at one point.
No
If he
shit.
was
Yeah.
younger, yeah, that'd go so stupid, man.
He's a big gamer now. That's what he does. He collects checks from
And
Halloween
letterboxed review.
Yeah.
Well, I guess those are I don't know. I guess those weren't real, the letterbox reviews.
Yeah, I
Somebody
think
told me
that
they weren't real.
I think Chase said that they
Still
weren't
funny
real,
though.
right?
Yeah.
Or who said that?
Yeah.
Whoever
Yeah.
did it,
Yeah, no,
just
Chase, I think you
gave me a
had
great
looked
laugh.
into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, they are so
No, still
real
funny
though.
as
I
hell.
mean, they sound just like something that
Yeah.
he'd write.
They're real
I
to
didn't
me,
know he was
damn
a
it.
gamer.
Okay, I could pretend.
Yeah.
I didn't know he
Yeah,
was a
dude,
gamer
he's a
though.
big gamer, dude. He just smokes pot all day and plays video games now
Yeah.
What a life, man.
when he's not executive producing a Halloween movie, you know. No, he's really
Like,
like
I'm
he's
done with
big
that.
into gaming though. Like he's
That's
gone on
cool.
record to talk about different games that he's played and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of cool that he's super into that, you know.
That's dope.
It's
Yeah, if
super
he ever
cool.
did a Dead Space movie, that'd be sick.
Mhm.
100%. But yeah, that was the one I was kind of thinking of in the back of my mind was BioShock. It's been I actually want to play those games again. It's been a minute, but yeah, that's my second pick, BioShock. Will,
Yeah,
what about
that's
you,
good.
man?
What you got, Will?
I was gonna do like a something that's already been adapted that I just want done well, or not necessarily well, but just better. And it
He's
was
like, well,
actually I Am Legend.
oh
Yeah.
shit. See, the
Well, because
conversation's
I
just
just
flowing.
wasn't a fan of that movie, and I think
Mm-hmm.
when we did the community episode with our lovely guests, somebody had asked a question if there was one movie that you could I don't know if I don't remember what the question was, but if it was like one movie that you could direct or have done again like the
Mm.
right way or whatever it was, what would it be? And my answer was I Am Legend because that's one of the first books that I fell in love with, growing up.
Yeah.
Richard Matheson's book. And I was a big fan of the Omega Man with Charlton Heston. That's like I don't know, it was like a B movie from the 70s with Charlton Heston pretty much playing the role of Robert Neville, but again, it wasn't necessarily faithful to the book.
Mhm.
but it kind of had that, it was like a 70s drive-in exploitation version of The Last Man on Earth, which was a movie that they made with Vincent Price, I think in the 60s, which was like a black and white film.
Hmm.
Um, that was a little more faithful to the novel.
Yeah.
And the I Am Legend film with Will Smith, I mean, there's things about that movie that I thought they did really well. They captured certain aspects of the novel pretty
Mhm.
well, and I liked certain parts of it, but there were some things I just didn't care for. Like I wish they kind of went. I wish they leaned more into like a practical approach to the infected, so to speak. I
Yeah.
don't think they actually called them vampires in the movie. They were just known as the infected, and yeah, man, I don't know. I wanted it to be darker. I wanted it to be drearier, like the novel is truly one of the most terrifying books I've ever read just because of how lonely Robert Neville is. And it's not
Mhm.
as much about the vampires as it is about his internal struggle and just how dark his just the dark places that his mind gets to, dealing with this reality that he is, in fact, to his knowledge, the last man on earth. And so I just don't think the Will Smith movie captured that. It captured some
Mhm.
things really well. I love the dynamic with him and the dog in the film. I thought they did
Hmm.
that really well. And I mean, spoilers for anybody that hasn't seen it. I mean, Jesus Christ, it's been well over a decade. But when he has to kill the dog, I mean, that was one
Mhm.
of my.
So sad.
It's not a
Oh,
favorite
dude,
moment in the movie, but it's a moment that like got me. I was like, damn, okay, they did
gut-wrenching.
that really well,
Yeah.
and I think Will Smith did, a decent job with the material that he was given. His performance wasn't necessarily bad. I just
Mhm.
think that overall, the tone of the movie, I was wanting something much more darker and something that delved much farther into the psyche of Robert Neville's character. So if there's one adaptation that I would want done again in the right hands, it'd probably be that one. Now, as far as who I would want directing it, that's a very good question. You know,
Mm.
um, I'm
I
trying to
think
think of that story, and I'm trying to think of who would who would do well with that because it's
Gareth Edwards.
no,
Again.
no, no. I mean, it's got to be somebody that understand. It's got to be somebody that's well versed in the horror genre,
Mhm.
but also somebody that understands what the message of the novel is. And I'm trying to think of somebody that could make it dark and make it scary and make it bloody, but also capture the essence of that novel, which is like the truly terrifying thing about it is that you know he he tries to find solace in like material things, and at the same time it's like that's what's driving him to this depression is that he's no
Mhm.
longer with his family. He's like mourning the loss of his daughter and his wife, and it's dude, it's really like just a deep dive into somebody that's lost everything, and that's like his struggle is just finding a reason to stay alive when there's just nobody you know
Yeah.
um and I don't know, I just want to see that done to a degree that makes it almost like a science fiction horror epic, because that's what the book is to me. Um, and
I
I'd
think
love
like
to
in
see
in
somebody try to replicate
s
that on screen.
something like that, it's hard because obviously this is like well appreciated material. I just don't
Mm,
I'm wondering if like a newcomer that like actually like loves and is passionate about the book that isn't gonna,
yeah,
sacrifice any of the actual book for the film. Like I think that's like someone that would need to direct that kind of movie. Because I've never read the book,
yeah,
but I see what you're saying because I felt that with the I Am Legend adaptation that the CGI, like you said, it's not really practical. You feel kind of removed from it, and
mm,
it feels kind of
yeah,
safe. At least outside of the dog scene, he just feels kind of like really safe compared to kind of the darkness and the depth that you can get with the material. Um,
yeah. The stakes didn't feel
yeah.
realistic, and that's there. What other than the dog scene and his relationship, that whole dynamic, there wasn't any real
Mhm.
like weight to the story in my opinion, and that's kind of
Yeah.
what it like didn't really hit home, you know what I mean?
And
So
they're doing a prequel
I
now too, from what I
supposedly,
heard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they were gonna do a sequel. That was like the talk for like the longest time that they were gonna do a sequel and bring Will Smith back, but now I guess yeah, they're trying to do a prequel. So I mean, I don't know how that's gonna go, but should be
I want to
interesting.
do a video on prequels because sometimes it just piss me off, dude. It's like I hate going back to where
Yeah.
you know where the character is going to end up, you know where they're going to be, so it's like I just don't feel invested in that whatsoever. I mean, there's very few prequels I think that have actually been well made, but I mean, for the most part, whenever I hear prequel, I just get discouraged immediately because it's you already know what's
Right.
going to happen. So what the
Yeah.
hell's the point? Um, but I agree with everything you're saying, Will. I wouldn't mind like someone maybe like A24 making that movie would be interesting.
Yeah, they're I mean, that's the thing. I feel like they could do it because, like, even with stuff like Civil War, like when I saw Civil War, like that kind of vibe, like I felt they tackled that material well. I know Civil War
Mhm.
has, there's people out there that don't necessarily love Civil War. I thought it was an okay movie. I think the sound design in that movie was fantastic. I think that's one of the things that shines out on the 4K disc. Not to necessarily get into that, but um yeah, I just think it's got to have somebody that can balance the horror of his existence with the rest of the population that's turned into vampires. And that's the other thing. Like they need to be vampires. The whole like infected
Mhm.
angle.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like a different approach, but like I feel like we get that so many times. Like we get
Mhm.
that more often than just vampires.
Yeah.
And not to get on that subject of like vampire movies, but that's the other thing. It's like I just want like good vampire movies again where the vampires are actually threatening, and and
Tell me
and
about it.
menacing and make you feel like you're like, damn, this is actually a threat. Like this is horrifying, like with
Mhm.
zombie films or what they used to be. And we haven't really gotten that in a long time. Um, but I think that story, it's prime for somebody that's willing to really try to represent the true horror of that reality on screen, and that's just something that I would love to see. So
I'd watch it for sure.
yeah,
I think it's a really good pick.
Yeah,
cool.
that is. Honestly, man, something like that, like if you would go to like late 90s, maybe even early 90s and gave that to Cronenberg, I think that would be like
Yep.
perfect, cuz like especially when you're
Yeah.
dealing with like isolationism and stuff like that and like certain parts and it's very very like character focused and then
Hmm.
environmentally second like that or
Yeah.
impactful. He's really good at doing that. I'm sure he could still manage to do it. I mean, dude's still great at what he does, but I mean, he just had like this very certain style right after The Fly and everything he was doing around that time that I don't
Mm.
know how he didn't or how he wasn't attached to some maybe he was at one point. I mean, dude was going to
Yeah.
maybe do Star Wars at one point, so who knows?
That's
Maybe that
wild.
was an option.
Yeah, like going back, like I could see Cronenberg because there's a scientific angle to the novel as well, where it kind of
Yeah.
deep dives into like the germ and like, it's caused by germ warfare, and I feel like that's right up his alley.
Mhm.
And like
Yeah.
he could really do something cool with that. But even like if we're gonna go back in time, I mean, yeah, like even I could see John Carpenter doing something like that. Like when I think
Yeah.
of him doing it, I could think of him maybe harkening back to the same approach that he had with something like Assault on Precinct 13. The
Yeah.
someone trapped inside and then, the enemy outside trying to get in. And that's kind of what I Am Legend is. I mean, if you think about it, there's
Mhm.
so many movies that are based off of or derived from that novel in terms of the plot and just the setup where it's funny because that novel actually kind of tackles both of those themes. It tackles, evil that's on the outside that's trying to get in, and destroy the good, which in this case is the vampires. They just want to kill Neville, and then you have the evil that's within, which is his psyche and just the what he's dealing with mentally, based on the situation that he's in and just his inner darkness. So that's the beautiful thing about that novel is it kind of tackles both of those things and kind of, dives into the fears of each of those things as well. So that's what I appreciate about it. And yeah, it'd be great to see somebody try to tackle that, the right way. But again, I think you need a balance. But yeah, dude, Cronenberg, any of those guys, I feel like I would love to see like their take on something like that. That'd be super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
It's a
great
good
pick,
pick.
man. Yeah. My third and I guess final pick is actually based on a book as well. It would be something that needs to be readapted because the book in question is Aragon. I'm a massive fan
Hmm.
Mm,
of the Inheritance series. That's
I
what
completely
the
Yeah.
I should have known you were gonna say that as your
yeah, like if you I don't think I've ever said it on the podcast, but that's what my whole like online everything Shurikane comes from Galbatorix's dragon Shrukan. I just literally
Mm.
added a G to the end of it. Surprisingly, never had an issue getting it, so I stuck with it. So, I literally just went through a reread all throughout November. I reread all 6 of the books that they have.
Wow.
And it's just so it's not necessarily the most unique thing. There's a lot of unique elements in it, especially the dude wrote this started this series when he was 15, man. Like dude published one of the world's best-selling books of the year when he was 15. Imagine that. And
Wow.
then
That's
he
crazy.
starts getting like more influenced. Like it starts finding its own identity because it feels very influenced from other fantasy things in the very first, I'd say first and third of the second. And then
Mm.
from the last half of the second onwards, it really finds its own identity. But there is a movie that came out in 2006. I mean, I still
Oh,
don't like. It's the only version of something that like. One of my favorite things in this entire universe that I have. So I'll still entertain it. It's not. There's people that just refuse to acknowledge it. I don't think it's that bad, is what I'm saying. Like
Jeremy
it's
Irons was in
bad.
it, right?
Yeah, Jeremy Irons is in it. And
Yeah,
honestly,
that's
if
the one I'm
they,
thinking of.
so the thing is like as much as I want them to do a adaptation of it again, I mean, you can just go to the Aragon subreddit. Christopher Paolini, the author of the series, he's very hands-on with the community.
Mhm.
And he actually announced that he got hired to write scripts and present them, and he has until January of 2025 to
Oh
present
shit.
appropriate pilots. And if they like the
oh,
pilots, then after this Percy Jackson series that they're doing for Disney Plus,
Mhm.
Aragon's next.
mm,
Because they got the Fox, I guess, bought like some type of right that was like didn't expire for 20 years, 25 years or something like that. So whenever they bought Fox out, they got that. So they want to push that. So it's not necessarily officially greenlit. It's supposedly in the works per him. But I just think that like there's very unique bonds whenever it comes to the world and the way that the dragons and how that works, like the mental bond and how magic works in this universe, the ancient language. There's just so many really cool things that you could do. It's not going to be like a
mm,
Lord of the Rings killer. It's got a lot of
Mhm.
like Lord of the Rings inspiration. It's got a lot of Dune inspirations as well because it's very politically driven. But that's where I feel like it can be really hit or miss. Like it can just be an almost impossible thing to adapt. And I kind of felt that way about Dune because if you've read Dune, it's got a shit ton of I think it's got more
Mhm.
inner monologue than actual dialogue in there. Like
mm,
Yeah,
it's got so much of people
there's a
just
lot of it.
thinking,
Mhm.
and Denis did a really good job. So that's kind of why I'm excited if they get somebody that really cares about the source material because like the dragons in this universe, they talk telepathically. So it's going to be kind of weird to show the dragon, their mouth's not moving, and then you just have this
Mhm.
weird voiceover. Like I went
mm.
and saw Y2K earlier as of this recording. And there's a part where it's not a secret. Fred Durst is in the movie, and there's a part where he
What?
sings. Yeah, Fred Durst is in
That's
the fucking
awesome.
movie, dude. Limp
No
Bizkit.
fucking way,
It's a
dude.
central.
Well,
It's
he
a
was in the
plot line.
trailer. I
Yeah,
I
remember
didn't
seeing
watch the
him in the
trailer, yeah.
trailer.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's pretty
He's a
funny.
central plot line, and there's a part where he starts singing, and it goes from just normal dialogue to you can tell it's a dub over. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And
Mm,
it's very distracting. I don't know if it distracts a lot of people, but when that happens, it's fucking jarring for me. Like
mm,
you have no depth, and it just sounds like it's literally coming from the middle of my like the front middle of my screen, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
So that part's got to be done well. I would imagine it wouldn't be too impossible for a company like Disney to at least make it CGI look half-assed. They do it with the
Yeah.
Marvel movies all the time, so I'm not too worried about that. It's just a matter of like there's so much character development, and that's really where the fucking movie fucked up. It has so many characters, and you have all these long chapters before any action happens of just build up. And in the movie, it just cut, boom, with no build up. So whenever all this stuff happens to the characters or for the characters, you're just like, why do I care? You know?
Yeah.
mm.
So it's
I
got to be
saw
a
that
series.
movie when it came out in theaters, dude. And I
Did
I'd never
you?
read the books. Yeah, I'd never read the books. So like mind you,
Yeah.
I'm going in there kind of I got the vibe watching it that it was like there was like rich like lore and just like a
Yeah.
background but it's so superficial and surface level. Like
Yes.
they didn't
Yes.
delve into it. Was just like get from point A to point B and we're not going to delve into any of this other stuff
Anything.
over here. And that's how I
Yeah.
felt watching it. I think that at least from my vibe, because I haven't read the books, but from the movie, the universe, and what they were trying to set up, I'm like, this could be cool if it's done
Yeah,
correctly.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. 'Cause it's very personal, and it happens there's a lot that happens. I mean, the entire series takes over the place of only, I think, like a year and a half, man. Like, it's
Mm,
Mm.
very like, that's 5 No, 2 years if you include the 5th book, and then the 6th book just is like a tales of book, like, it just tells you some lore about individual pieces. But, yeah, I mean, it very much so is, like, there's big chapters in the 3rd book where it's just about, like, court proceedings and stuff like
Mhm.
that, like, how people get judged in this particular land, and that's what makes it interesting, and that's what helps separate it from other things is the cultures you explore, the way the dragons are, because the dragons aren't
Mm.
just these beasts that come from the sky and then just put fire down and just end the war. There's only so many of them, and their lives are precious, and they're worshipped entities. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And like they're bonded with these people called riders, but they're also responsible for each other, and they have a destiny to fulfill. Right? Just depending. I don't
Mm.
want to go into too much about the story, but if you've read it, you know exactly what I just described. But it has a lot of potential, but it also has a potential to just be just another swords and
Well, it could be I
sandals.
think it could be mishandled, right? If you get the
Yeah, very
wrong.
easily, and apparently, because the author had nothing to do with the original movie that came out, he's writing these scripts, and apparently he's on, like him and his sister are on the production, team and
Mhm.
stuff like that, so they have some creative control. But again, it literally here in about 6 weeks or so, we should know if it's officially good to go.
Mhm.
Mm.
I'd hope so. I mean, his other book, in a To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, is actively getting made into some streaming service TV series, and that's gonna come
Cool.
out first, but
Mm.
I mean, he's in demand, so
Mhm.
let's just hope it gets done well because I think it has the opportunity to introduce itself to a whole new generation, be something people talk about
Mhm.
and look forward to every week. But I'm
They
not
better
gonna
give it a
hold my
chance to,
breath.
because they'll freaking do I just saw the trailer for what was it, the How to Train Your Dragon live action
The live
movie, and
action,
I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?"
it's kind of crazy to come out with that, but I mean, I guess it makes sense. I mean,
It
it's
doesn't make
probably the
sense
most
to
doable
me.
one.
I
I
feel like
guess
it's
everything's
so
live action.
it's like literally frame by frame the animated movie.
Yeah, I guess people just really want humans in their movies. I don't know. I really don't get why they would do that, man.
I didn't
It just makes
understand
no
it either.
sense.
It was weird.
There's
But
somebody excited for it at least.
if you are, comment down below and let me know because I wanna see who it is. The original was fine for me, but yeah, it's kinda stupid that you get something like that, being made, or like an I Am Legend,
Mhm.
prequel being made, and it's like there's so many other ways to adapt some of this stuff, but they just kind of keep treading the same freaking territory, man. It's freaking obnoxious.
Yep, I
Um,
agree.
I don't know if I have a third, man. I there's so many freaking games and movies. I don't know. I was gonna say Attack on Titan
It's
but
got
I'm
that
like,
Japanese movie.
yeah,
Mm.
dude, that shit looks so
Yeah.
bad. It looks so bad. I haven't
It was
seen
pretty
it
bad.
yet, but I've read on the forums and everyone said that it's atrocious, and I think it's just kind of hard. I'm not going to delve too much into Attack on Titan, but I think it's just after finishing that series, it just has so much lore and so much background and so much history that it's it's
Mhm.
it's very difficult, I think, to adapt into a feature length movie. Or I mean, I guess if they did it as a show, I think it could be successful that way. You get a little bit
Yeah.
Mm.
more time to kind of go through everything. But yeah, that movie, when I saw the trailer for it, I'm like, this thing doesn't look. It looks so kind of like the Aragon movie. It's like superficial, just like,
Yeah.
okay, there's the Titans, and we kill the Titans, and that's pretty much it. Like, I don't think it really delves into anything further than that.
Yep. Yep.
But
That movie
yeah.
was bad.
Oh, you saw it?
Yeah. I also
Oh.
saw the terrible live action Assassination Classrooms.
See, my brother watches. I haven't seen those, but it sounds like the
I
live
love that
anything
show.
live action sounds like anime live action sounds like it just sucks.
Man, I will say a lot of those, like, I don't know if they really what they refer to them as, but there's a lot of what feels like direct to video Japanese adaptations.
Mm,
Mm.
In the Assassination Classroom ones feel like that. The Attack on Titan one feels like a higher budget model of that. But there's just some like, oh, dude, there's like apparently like 4 or 5 Death Note movies made over there. There's one about just
really?
L. Yeah, because I
Wow.
was going through like a J horror bender. I think it was the beginning of November. Might have been the beginning of October, maybe November. But anyways, I was going through like all the rings, the grudges, everything like that. And as I was going through the filmography, the guy had done like a standalone L movie,
Hmm.
and the guy that created Ring, as far as I remember. And I was like, that's just so weird. Like, what audience is there just to see a random side quest of L,
Side quest.
in live action form? Like, so like there's a bunch of those, and not all of them are terrible. There's I really can't think of a great one, to be honest with
I don't
you. I
think. I
mean,
mean, I only got
yeah,
into anime like a year and a half or 2 years
yeah.
ago, but like, yeah, I mean, that's my impression. It's just like all of it that turns live action is just
Mm.
complete garbage for the most part.
Not good at all.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even look when you watch it. Like I saw the Dragon Ball Z trailer, or whatever. that came out in 2000. What was it, 2002 or some shit like that?
Oh, Dragon Ball Evolution,
Evolution. That's
American
what it
one.
was. Yeah.
That
Oh my
movie's
god,
so
dude.
bad.
The
Movie's so
trailer
bad.
looks atrocious. It looks so bad.
It's
Um,
terrible.
I'm never gonna touch it, man. I'm never gonna touch Attack on Titan either. And I'm not touching it whatsoever. But
Never do it, man.
yeah.
You'll live fine without ever watching it.
I do
promise.
want to maybe next time we'll do a video on. I do want to maybe do a video on prequels, like good
Yeah.
ones and bad ones, just because I feel like that's just something that we're getting so much of, dude.
Yeah.
I'm like, and some of it's okay, but it's just like I'm tired of treading the same territory over and over again with prequels. But yeah, let us know, guys. Comment down below. Give us your wishes for material that was adapted into either TV shows or movies, or material that you wish was adapted again because it just wasn't adapted correctly the first time. Make sure you like, subscribe, keep an eye out. We got some other videos coming out for kind of end of the year's best transfers, best movies. Nosferatu's coming out, which we're all excited for.
Yes.
Super
Sonic.
excited for. And when is that out? Is that this weekend?
Thursday. Let's
Oh,
go. I got a
shit.
3:00 fan event screening. I'm
Oh
so stoked.
man,
I'm so
I'm gonna.
stoked I
I'll
decided to wear this
try. I gotta
shirt,
help
man.
my brother move this weekend, but I'll try to see it. I'll text you if I get out of it.
Hell
Because
yeah.
Chase got me on these damn Sonic movies, man. They're not as bad as I thought. I thought they were kind of
Hell yeah.
corny.
They're
when
okay at worst.
Before I started, I'm like, but they're not bad. They're
Yeah.
not horrible. So,
Super fun.
yeah. So we have a lot more content this month, guys. Keep an eye out, and we appreciate you guys for listening.
Appreciate it, everybody.